Mm.
Do you think you ate something that
Nah, I think
that's just your life?
it's just my life.
It's
Yeah,
just life.
it
It's
is.
my life.
It's a shitty life.
I knew, and whenever you were like, I just know you. And I was like, she's probably
In
in
the
the
bathroom.
crapper,
If she's
catching up
awake,
on
she's
all
in
of,
the, yeah.
yeah, catching up on all of the messages. And
Yeah, it was like 20 some messages on there. I was like, dang. It's okay though. I needed to
Well,
get up.
you know, Jen was like, she's sleeping. Let's not blow up the group chat. I'm
let's
like,
not wake her.
she should be fucking awake.
It
I'm
was
like, it's
Uh,
still
Sunday.
it was still coming through on my watch. And then, you know,
So
Perfect.
speaking
Now
of,
we know.
I need to charge mine.
Now we know.
yes, now you know.
Now we know how to wake you.
Just message, message, message.
Yep. And just let it vibrate away.
Yeah. Uh,
Well,
So with all of our traveling coming up over the next like 3 weeks, we're either traveling or we have people traveling to us.
or
So
both.
or both. Do we have what are your like top tips? Because with people trying to like wrap up, by the time you're listening to this, it's probably going to be around or after Labor Day. But I think people still take like Labor Day vacations
mm-hmm.
Mm.
because usually they have like a 3-day weekend.
Yep.
So what if we like shared our top tips or gadgets, whatever, for traveling? So Andrea, you go first because I feel like you're always going
Travel.
somewhere. Like you're
Well,
already messaging us about going to the Bahamas in January.
yes.
Um, and
Well, this is where I have to plant
I
the
have such a
seed.
hard time to like plan that far.
Well, you have to plant the seed. And then, that this is where we begin our journey to search for the best deals. Um, so Well, in general, I think my travel hacks are for if I'm looking for a hotel, if I'm going somewhere for 1 or 2 nights, I kind of scour a plethora of places. I don't use anything like Kayak or any kind of website that does that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The closest I get to that is like Expedia. Um, but really, I start looking at what kind of offers I'm getting in emails. I get tons of emails all the time from different places. But a big one lately has been those, and of course, I'm sure some people are going to be like, oh, you're going to put it on your credit. But a lot of times those programs like Affirm or Uplift, which are built for paying over time on stuff, will
Mm-hmm.
actually have deals where you can save $100 to $300 off of Verbo, Airbnb, Expedia,
Mm-hmm.
the specific vendors. So if I have one of those deals, I will then look on those certain websites to see and then compare it to other websites, um, and just see overall, like, yes, I may have a slight interest rate where I'm maybe paying like $30 more in the long run, um, versus, but I'm also getting $300 off. So,
Yeah.
if I'm still saving $270, then yes, I'm going to put it on that, let it hit my credit, but then I can also pay it off whenever I want. There's no penalty to pay it off. There's no, you know what I mean? Things like
Mhm.
that. So that's kind of like a big one, to kind of use those to your advantage. And they really don't
So
make
I'm
that big of
sorry,
a hit.
I don't know what any of that stuff is. So like a firm or whatever.
So they're like
Is that
companies
something
that
that you
are,
sign up for like a membership
nope.
or
No. So when you like go and check out at certain places, sometimes they give you the offer right on the thing as an option to pay. So you can either pay with your credit card or PayPal, or it'll say pay over time. And that's the option, is to pay over time.
Mm-hmm.
oh, so like on internet because I've seen that. So like
Hmm.
I don't know if it was Amazon or someplace, but I saw yeah, it was like I can either pay this in full or pay this over time with a firm. And I'm just thinking, dude, it's like $30. Why would I pay over time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like who doesn't have a $30?
Right, right. Well, that's the thing. So when you're looking at going away, for a Verbo or whatever, you're talking this could be 700, 800 over, so at least $800, if we're depending on where we're going, how long we're staying, whatnot. Um, so in the long run, it's like if I have a deal being offered to me through a firm that says I'm gonna get $200 off, then I'm gonna do it, and then I can just pay it off on my own
Yeah, I didn't know they
schedule.
did things like that.
Well,
I
when
didn't
we
know
went
that.
to San Antonio and my whole flight thing, I had to do that extra flight and this and that and the other. I used a firm and I paid for my flights over time, so I didn't have to
And
pay it
usually you
all
can
at
you can
once.
do it with within 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, depending on
Yeah.
your
Mhm.
preference.
Mhm.
And so what's the interest rate on something like that?
Oh, it's pretty high.
It depends.
Yeah.
It
Well, for
can
me, it's
vary.
pretty high.
Sometimes they offer 0%.
Is it
Mhm.
based off your credit score? Or
Probably.
is it just
They
like,
They
well,
do like a soft pull, they say.
yeah, they do a soft pull, but I've
I
never
mean,
seen it on my credit.
oh,
I've never
actually,
seen a firm on my
You know
credit.
what? You're right because I get notifications when things check my credit, and I don't
mhm,
ever get one when I do that.
Mm-mm.
So
interesting.
they do a soft pull, and um I mean, you have to set it up with auto pay. It's connected to your bank account
Sure.
when you pay, like just like
Yeah.
a regular bill. Um, but I mean, ultimately, that is a big way to help me travel,
Mhm.
especially if
Yeah.
it's something long, if it's down the road. It's like, like we've done cruises and things where it's like we book it 12 months out. And I'm like, well, if we just do this over time,
Sure.
it'll be paid before we go. We don't have to worry about that paying in full with the cruise line 4 months in advance because
Mhm.
that's almost ridiculous. And then, it's like, um,
Yeah.
and we just do that. So that's a really big part. And then if I'm looking for like, hotels and things like that, I use an app called Hotel Tonight. It's also free. There's no membership. I can link my code in the show notes for you
Yeah,
if you
do that.
want. Um, and that really gives you some discounts last minute hotels. So if I want to look for a hotel, for example, in Myrtle Beach in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna wait it out and book it last minute through that, like
Mhm.
most likely. Um, so that's another one. They don't use those apps or those other things, but we have gotten some really great deals booking through there.
Hmm.
For flights is a tricky one. So the best day to actually search online for flights is on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Mhm.
That's when the airlines lower their prices and it's usually the least price during the whole week. Like if you look on a Saturday night, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm never gonna
Yeah.
go because it's ridiculous. But if you wait until Tuesday to search, then it's a little bit cheaper. It's
Mhm.
also cheaper to fly on a Tuesday or a Wednesday in itself, if you can.
Mhm.
Um, and then typically there's like a sweet spot where around between 6 and 8 weeks out from the date of your flight, that's when the flights are going to be at their cheapest.
Yeah.
So if you can plan around that, I like to use Google Flights to search because you can set filters and you can also set reminders. So it'll watch the flight price for you. So you can either watch like a specific flight time or airline or whatever, or you can just put a notification on and tell me when the price drops for overall. If I
Hmm.
want, say
Interesting.
I want to go from Charleston to Las Vegas, and I say, just watch this date. I want to go on this date and watch the flights for me.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And it'll send you notification when the price goes down. It'll send you a notification that the price is going back up. Um, it also kind of has a little algorithm that, it collects the data and it'll give you a graph of like, this is the cheapest it's been over the last 6 months or whatnot. So, Google Flights is your really, is really good tool. They don't show all the airlines. They don't usually show Southwest. Um,
That's
and
okay. Southwest sucks.
Southwest, wow, don't knock it.
I don't like Southwest.
I mean,
Here's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that you can't like choose your seat. Like you have to do that check-in thing.
mm,
And I don't like layovers because it increases my anxiety. So if I'm going somewhere, I need a direct flight. And to me, I'll pay the extra money for the direct flight just so I don't have to deal with, oh, is my bag going to get there? Or am I going to miss my connecting flight or whatever like that?
mhm.
Like I'll that's why I fly American, just because usually I can get a direct flight and I'll pay more
Well,
for it.
yeah, because of where you're located. So where I'm
Yeah.
located, I pretty much don't ever have a direct flight. So, um, to be honest, I have never had a bag issue or a missing connection issue with Southwest. The only time I've had an issue is a layover with bad weather, like
Hmm.
things like
Mhm.
that, which are completely out of control.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, quite frankly, they do offer some of the cheapest rates. And what they do allow you to do is if the rate goes down, you can rebook your flight and you'll get a credit for the difference.
Mm.
Or I get a lot of points. I have a Southwest credit card, so I get a lot of points through them too. And if I book with points and then the price goes down and I rebook it, then I get those points back.
Mm.
So they're very flexible in that sense. If you need that versus like American or Delta, who aren't going to let you rebook or whatnot without a fee, um, or unless you pay more for the ticket.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think you should be a travel agent.
I thought about that in my past life.
Yeah.
I
I
kind of
mean,
do that. I kind of do that in my day job as it is. I
you
book
just
book
you
stuff.
just know a lot about it, and you're very versed in traveling.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Me, I'm just like,
What?
because like I said, I'm so even Kevin and we're so bad at kind of looking at ahead because you never just know what's going to happen. And here's my thing. I'm always afraid to like book time, like PTO time
Mm,
for a
Mhm.
specific time because I don't know who's going to get sick. Now it's kind of easier because the boys are older, so I don't have to like nurse them to death. But like if you have small kids, I used to use all of my PTO time to taking them to the damn doctors, or if they were sick, I had to stay home with them.
Mhm.
And so, and then, of course, whenever I was sick, 2 years ago, a lot of my PTO time before I got on short-term disability went to that. And then I just get nervous and this year was the first year that I'm actually out of PTO because like San Antonio was a new trip this year. The wedding is a new trip this year. And then
Mhm.
fucking pneumonia, and
mm.
I had exactly, I usually always like to carry over 5 days.
Mhm.
Because that's what we're allowed to carry over. But then this year what that wasn't going to happen, but I had those 5 days left that I was going to take around like Christmas and Thanksgiving, like a couple days here and there, and now it's like I have to work all around the
Huh.
holidays because I got sick.
Well, you know what though? What's nice about that is that nobody else is fucking working. So it's
Well,
like you
that's
can
true.
actually get shit done, or you can
Yeah,
literally just sit back
move
and
my mouse.
Yeah.
No, it'll be
yes.
nice just to get, because we kind of like go on a freeze anyways, and so
Hmm.
Mhm.
to your point, like everybody's out, and so it's really a great time to like catch up on stuff. Plus I'll be home anyways, but you
Yeah.
know
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, time, your work life is a little bit different now that you're working from home. So,
yeah.
um, well, yeah. So, and then, like for those bigger trips that we try to plan further out, that's, we do have a vacation club, things that we did pay for. Um, but honestly, I mean, we've taken some really great trips. We've been to Hawaii twice that we never probably
Mm-hmm.
would have been to. We've been to Aruba. Um, where else? I mean, we just kind of couple it with other things. Like those have been the three really big trips that we've taken.
Mhm.
Um, and It's been awesome.
Yeah. I have to do my passport. That's on my agenda. I have a post-it right here so I don't forget. After we're done, I can print that out. Because I
Well, if we
I
do
know
go
you
to the
don't.
Bahamas, if we go to the Bahamas, we could just take a boat from Florida too. So,
Yeah. Well, and I know like because I know you don't need it for Hawaii, but I know I've been looking at a Hawaii before all those fires. Um because Caden's been asking to go there for like years. But then I was like, whenever we started booking the wedding, I was looking at VRBO and then Airbnb. And for whatever reason, the place was cheaper on Airbnb. I don't
hmm
know if VRBO costs like they have additional fees or
it
whatever,
probably
but
depends on their fees and whatnot. Is because I found that with San Antonio. So I ended up
yeah,
booking the place that we were in San Antonio on Airbnb versus Verbo because it was actually cheaper. I think
right.
they just charge different fees in different markets, that type of thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so I did that, but then I was like, you know what? I really want to go someplace nice. So I was looking at like Greece and
Mm. Greece is really cheap.
it's cheap. Like
their
it's not
economy
bad at
sucks.
all.
No, their
Like
economy sucks. So they
I
want
think if
people.
anything, it would be like the airfare to get there would be actually more because we are a family of like six. Like if we were
hmm
to take everybody, it would be super expensive. But the houses, and I'm talking like on a side of a mountain with
hmm
like an infinity pool overlooking the ocean, like it's beautiful.
hmm
It's like $4,000, $5,000. To me, that's not bad. I mean, that's what I'm
No.
paying on the wedding house.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I can save that in no time. Like
hmm
it was crazy,
Mm.
crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
No. And that's the thing. So it's like you need to start kind of like once you kind of narrow down where you want to go is then when you can start, kind of scouring whether you're
Mm-hmm.
checking Verbo, you're checking Airbnb, you're checking just hotels. It just depends on what kind of atmosphere you want. I
Yeah.
mean, you can actually, so with the vacation club properties, most of them do cater to the people who own with the vacation club, but
Mm-hmm.
you can find certain sites that you can go through to purchase through there too. So you can
Mm.
be staying on a that type of resort property.
Yeah, I know my mom did Wyndham and then they canceled that and then they do I think it's called Global. Um and that's something that they play for as well and then like that's how she's going to Myrtle Beach in September.
hmm
And here's how snobby I am. Okay? I'm just putting that out there. I
Mm.
know I'm a snob when it comes to certain things. But she asked Kevin and I if we wanted to go meet her and I'm like, yeah, that'd be great, come down for the weekend. And so I'm talking to her, she gives us the address. And so we're kind of like scoping out the place and she's like, yeah, she said, whenever you rent through these people, it's not like you have an ocean view room. And right then, like I was like, ew, why would I go to the beach and not have like an ocean view room? Because that's all Kevin and I get. We
Yeah.
request to be as high up as we can. And we
mm
request to have an ocean front, not ocean view, but ocean front room, just
Mhm.
because we like to sit out there. We like to sleep with the doors open, like all
Yeah.
of that kind of stuff. And I'm not even paying for this shit. Like I'm getting a free weekend getaway and I'm over here being snooty, Miss Snooty Patootie and saying, ooh, no
mm.
ocean view room.
So
And and,
honestly,
and
yeah.
so I told Kevin that yesterday, and he's like, Jen, I'm so glad you said that because I was thinking the same thing. And I'm like, but we're not even paying for it. Like, we just need to be happy that we're that we're going somewhere.
I
Oh
would
my God.
feel the
So
same way
That's
because
what a snob I am.
I like oceanfront as well. And if I'm going to the beach, I want to be on
Yeah.
the
It's like
ocean. Like,
what are we looking at a parking lot? Are we looking at another building? Like,
mhm.
so if we
mm,
open up the door, there's not going to be any breeze. There's not like I'm gonna have to
that's
actually
even if
go
you
down. I'm
that's
gonna have
even
to
if
go
you have
down
a
to the
door.
beach to see it.
Yeah.
It
That's
was
even if
just
you have a door to open.
yeah.
Um, well, that's so it's funny you mentioned that because, when we did the two Hawaii trips and then we did Aruba, we don't really have a choice. We just picked the unit size that we want, and we don't have a choice of like where in the property or whatnot it is.
Right.
Um,
Like
but
that's not an option, or how you book it. There's not an
it's not an
option.
option. It's
Oh.
not an option. So, but when the first time we went, we stayed on a golf resort property. Actually, both times they were golf resorts. We knew that we weren't on the beach, which is fine. We were fine with it. Um, but the rooms we were very like pleased with the rooms. Like they
Mm-hmm.
were, we had our own balcony. We looked out over the golf course. We could open the door. We could have that breeze. You know what I
But at
mean?
least you had a
Just things
nice
like that.
view
Yeah.
We had a
of the
nice
golf
view.
course.
Yes.
Like my
Yep.
brain just automatically goes to what if I'm looking at a parking lot? Like I'm paying
Hmm.
all of this money, and what if I'm looking at like
Well, guess
a
what, Jen? You're
road?
not paying any money for this
I
one.
know, I know, and that's what I keep telling myself. That's what I keep telling myself, and I'm just like, look, Jennifer, stop being a snot and just go. And you're going for you'll be at the beach all day on Saturday anyways. Just shut your pie
And
hole.
that's why when
Like,
I said, we started looking at the Bahamas, so there's like two properties right now that are available for us, but I'm like let's hold out because one of them's on like they're not on the beach, they're on like a marina type, and I was like I don't want to be in a marina because where the fuck's the beach? So like let's hold and see what other property, because as we get a little bit closer there'll be more properties that open up
sure.
and there's more
Mm-hmm.
availability. But again, like we went to Aruba, we didn't stay at the beachfront property. We stayed at the golf resort again, which was literally across the street from the beach, and they had a little shuttle bus that drove us to the beach if we wanted, like a golf cart, or we could have walked. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but what they didn't tell us when we booked was that they put us on the top floor, and all the units on the top floor had access to the hot tubs that were on the roof.
Oh,
So
nice.
we had a two-bedroom unit that had access to the top floor, which is like it was like a whole other party space. And then they had two hot tubs up there there's 6 units on the top floor. So all the 6 units could have had access. And I think we were the only ones that were booked on the top floor that for the time
Mm.
that we were there. I didn't see
Nice.
anybody else on the floor with us. So I was like, I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And I mean, you could look out, we could see the water from far away, we could see the pool, we could see, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I was also on a golf course, so we had a golf course view, which is totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So no, in those senses, you don't really have control over that. You could call the hotel. Usually what they
Sure.
say is you can contact the resort like within the week and see what kind of availability they have,
Mm-hmm.
and then put in their request. And then obviously, if it's going to cost more, then you would just pay the difference
Yeah.
at the resort.
Yeah,
Um,
that's like what we do even when we go to Myrtle. I mean, we look at the unit, and then
mhm,
we get the unit that we want with an ocean view, and then whenever we go and check in,
mhm,
because we usually stay at the same place. And so you can't call ahead, but whenever we check in, we always ask them, "Hey, can you put us on the highest floor possible?"
mhm,
Um, just because I'm always like, because like again, snotty me. I just don't like if you're down low, then you're usually overlooking like the pool and the
mhm,
lazy river, but not really the ocean. You have to look over people's
Mm-hmm.
heads. And I
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
just want to look in the ocean. I'm a snot. I know it. I know it. I know it.
Well, at
Well,
least you can admit that.
I can admit it. I can admit it. I'm a snot about water, like bottled water, wine, beer, and like views whenever I travel.
The things that matter.
Things
I
that
mean,
matter.
truly.
Yeah. I'll try to put these links that you mentioned um in the show notes below. If you have like, I don't know, like for any of these sites, Andrea, like if somebody uses them, do you have like a
Yep.
code or something? So
Yes,
I'll put that down there too.
I can give you my special links
Okay, I'll put that
for
down there
different
too.
things.
And then, I don't travel as much, but I do have whenever we went to San Antonio, I did buy some things like from Amazon, like a travel like bathroom thing, just some odds and ends that I thought that I would need, and they were actually really great quality. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put my Amazon storefront on there too. I mean, it's nice even for like weekend getaways. There's a lot of like handy gadgets out there. So
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
Andrea has
Hmm.
a
Oh, I definitely
storefront.
have some
So
for cruising and things like that. Different things that you could use for cruising and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot.
yeah.
So,
So I'm going to put those links down in the bottom as well. So make sure you check those out. Um, But this was super informed. I don't travel a lot. So like
Well,
all of
girl, get
these
that
just
passport
I
and
know
we're
I
gonna
am.
be
I'm doing it
going.
right now. I'm
Mel,
doing
you're
it right
coming
now.
with us to the Bahamas, right? In January.
Yeah, probably not.
No?
I don't know how much PTO Matt's gonna have, and
Hmm.
so I don't
All right, we'll
know.
go in February. You get an extra month to bank that PTO.
All right. Well, this was super helpful even just for me. So I want to be like Andrea when I grow up and actually schedule like vacations a year
Yeah,
out. I
right.
don't even know what that would feel like.
I
I
know.
think we booked Aruba. Well, Aruba is very popular. So when we booked Aruba, I think we booked it about 8 or 9 months out.
Mhm. Well, we did that with our honeymoon because that was, we went through a travel agent and she was wonderful and everything. Now, the resort when we got there wasn't great because they were closing it down and not doing any
Mm,
maintenance or anything like that. So that was the big downside of the honeymoon. But, I mean, it was seamless as far as the travel. Whenever we got there, we knew where to go and this and that and the other. So
yeah.
it was, yeah, I suggest going to a travel agent too. I mean, and, if you really need if you've never traveled outside the country or before, and if you don't want to book your own stuff,
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
really work for us.
I know whenever you mentioned about the Bahamas, Andrea, I asked because Kevin's very finicky. Like he's always like checking, like, okay, is this a safe place for,
Mhm.
US citizens to go to and
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. And if it's not, like he won't go. Like even if
Hmm.
we even, he just won't. He won't jeopardize our safety for that. And so, he was just, I think it's okay. And he's like, is it just gonna be us? Because he's also not like he can't sit on the beach all day.
Hmm.
That's just not who he is. And I'm like, no, like Andrea asked, like, if we would want to go, if Mel and them can go, maybe they'll go. And so he's like, oh, so it's not just gonna be us. And I'm like, no. And like his ears kind of perked up. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
so
wow. He
like,
doesn't want to take a vacation with you?
no, he does, but he's not, like I said, he's not.
Yeah.
I think he looks at it as there's strength in numbers.
Yep.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he's never been outside of the US
Hmm.
Oh.
ever. And so this would be his first time. And like I said, he's just very concerned about our safety and just he doesn't want
Oh
anything
gosh,
bad to
then
happen.
maybe we should go to Bermuda then, but we can't go
And
in
he just
January.
feels I think he feels like there's strength in numbers. And if
Hmm.
there's more of us, then we're gonna
Mhm.
be better than just us two going.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's true.
Yeah, see, like when we go, if it was just going to be us, it's like every time we've traveled, we've actually traveled with other people, so we get like a larger unit and whatever. We have our other friends come, um, and but like if we're gonna go by ourselves, it's like I would just want to go to a resort where all I do is just hang on that resort. You
Mhm.
know,
right.
I'm not leaving the property. We're not doing whatever. Um, but I mean, even in Aruba is very safe. They don't play around with their crime there because they're such a tourist place that
Mhm.
they
Hmm.
know, and they're also owned by the Netherlands, so it's Dutch and whatnot. So um, if something jeopardizes or makes tourists feel uncomfortable, that's going to immediately tank their economy
Mhm.
because
Hmm.
Mhm.
they're,
Hmm.
they have people that obviously live there, but um, their majority of their income is travel and
Right.
tourism.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
um, making people feel comfortable, keeping the streets clean. I mean, it was very clean, and I felt very comfortable walking on the street at night. Um, in crowded areas. Obviously, I'm, very aware of my belongings and keeping them on me. Just
We lost you. I think you hit your mute button.
I hit my mute button. I'm sorry. Um, I just felt very safe in Aruba walking on the
Yeah.
street at night.
Mhm.
Obviously I kept my things on me. Um, you know, in my, like in my purse, I kept, I have like a crossbody bag and I keep it close to me. But I mean, I do that here too because you get mugged on the
Yeah.
street here. So you just have to be smart. Um, and be aware of your surroundings too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable, then, take a taxi, don't walk by yourself. Like it's just it's more common sense when you're traveling and just being aware of what's going on around you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People go on, a lot of times people go on vacation and just, "Oh, I'm on vacation and
Oh
whatever,
no.
and
Yeah.
nothing's gonna
Mm-mm.
happen to me." And then next thing you know, you're, missing a kidney in a bathtub in somewhere in
Yeah.
Argentina. So,
Yeah, Kevin's very good at that, and, like, he grew up in, like, not a nice neighborhood, he went
hmm
to a really bad school, and so I was, like, the naive person before I met him where, like, nothing's gonna happen, blah, 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 and so now I'm, like, this person who's, like, constantly looking around me, but he's just really good at that, and
hmm
I think it's just, like, even certain malls here there's more, like, we just won't go to after a certain hour because then
Mhm.
all the riffraff is out, and I'm sorry, I'm not interested in going someplace where I can, like, I don't wanna increase my chances of getting hurt, and
hmm
I think that's how he looks at it also, like, yeah, there's danger everywhere, but why voluntarily put yourself in a position
Mhm.
where it can increase those chances, you know what I
Yeah.
Right.
mean?
Yep.
Oh
So
yeah.
he's just very much like that. All right. Well, this was super
Yep.
helpful for me. Hope that you find it helpful. Again, we'll put the links down below in the show notes. Be sure to check all those out. If you have your own travel tips or hacks or resources that you use, be sure to put those down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. If you know somebody who's going on a trip, feel free to tag them and maybe they'll find this helpful.
For sure.
Um,
Absolutely.
hope y'all have a great day
Yeah.
and we'll talk to you on the
Soon.
next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.